Wisconsin, I do lists, but there are a lot of names and a lot of histories that I can't find on all those lists I work on that Jean Crawford knew. Not only did she know just about everybody, she would know how all of you in this room are connected to everybody else. Where she met you, what she had done with you. She probably knows more about your family history than you know she knows, and maybe more than she wants you to know. But in addition to that great intelligence, that tremendous sense of people, she had that kind of memory that never quits. She never forgot anything, which means that if you crossed her, you were really in trouble. And if you had collaborated with her on anything, you were a friend forever. I first met her in an underground effort. Literally, it was in the basement of Elise Hines and Jim Clayton's house, when Elise was first running for the House of Delegates, and I was the Washington Post equivalent of Hatched. I wasn't supposed to be doing anything political, but somehow found myself down in the basement. And there I met Mary Ann Fowler and Jean Crawford and a number of other people who are here, and began to see the kinds of efforts they were making and the kinds of campaigns they were waging, and the whole effort to get equal rights advanced in Virginia, really, they went at it like forces of nature. That powerful, that committed, that determined. You know what they say about Mother Nature. And eventually she wins. She may not have won in the General Assembly in the 80s, but she is winning. And she's had an awful lot of help. One of the last times I saw Jean was before Christmas, when actually I was visiting someone else in the hospital, in Arlington Hospital, I still call it that. And in that lobby at about 6 o'clock at night when it was emptying out, on the way to the elevators, Jean was sitting over there on a bench. And she was not very strong at the time, and she looked as though simply checking herself out of the hospital had been enough of an ordeal that she had to rest before she went down to get her car to drive herself home. But she was sitting next to a young orderly or some kind of hospital staff, and she was very passionately telling him about the last book she had read. About politics, of course, and educating him. I think he may have been in the country about a year and a half. But he was learning things from her that he just found fascinating. And she was as committed to sharing this knowledge with him as she ever was with any of us. The only other point I think that is very relevant, right as I look out at this moment, involves the kitchen crew. As you know, Jean was one of the backbones of the kitchen crew. It is a wonderful Arlington Democratic institution. I am a dropout. One of its shortest-lived members, and we won't go into that, but anyway, it epitomizes so many of the values that Jean had, one of which was sharing your efforts, sharing your talents, collaborating with other people, welcoming other people, feeding other people, physically, spiritually, politically, any way possible. And the last thought, which I think is relevant today, is that Jean would not want there to be any leftovers.